destiny.
Let's go!
This is your time.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. This movie kicks ass. And I'm gonna talk about some of the characters, but I'm gonna keep this review semi-spoiler free. Even though there's not a whole lot to spoil in this movie, if you've seen the trailers, you've pretty much seen just about everything the movie has to offer. But there are some surprises along the way. I went into Power Rangers with really low expectations. I grew up watching the original show, and now as an adult, I'm well aware of how extraordinarily cheesy it was. This movie takes all those cheesy elements out of Power Rangers and tries to make it a little grittier, a little darker. And that could have easily gone bad. In fact, I still remember the last time a movie studio tried to do that exact same thing. But Power Rangers handles the reboot process extremely well. It felt different enough to be its own thing, yet it was still recognizable as Power Rangers. There's even lines directly lifted from the original show, and there's so many moments throughout the movie where the audience just erupted into applause. It was just clear who the target audience was. It was those of us who were young children when the first season aired, and are now grown-ass adults that still think that superheroes and giant robots are awesome. The plot is very basic, and it's your typical origin story. Teenagers find these mysterious objects, get their powers, and then an evil villain returns to destroy the world and they stop her. There's no shocking twists and turns in the story, and it's all extremely predictable. But that's okay, because this movie, that's exactly what it should have been. And Zordon and Rita actually had a pretty good backstory in this. That's something that the original series didn't really dive into too deeply. But aside from the nostalgia, the strongest aspect of this movie were the characters. Although Alpha 5 looks completely different from his original version, he's still the helpful little robot that serves Zordon. And this time he's got a splendid dash of sarcasm with all his lines. Bryan Cranston did a great job as Zordon. He always speaks every line with such emotion. But the ones that really steal the show are the Power Rangers themselves, when they're just regular teenagers. And that's what I thought I was going to enjoy the least in this movie. None of these teenagers know each other at the beginning of the movie, and by the end you really feel like they've grown as friends. The chemistry between all of them, it just works. And in the original series, they were what I like to call Saved by the Bell teenagers. They were always smiling and happy, and life was perfect for everyone. But the ones in this movie feel like real teenagers with real problems. Jason's a small town football star that everybody recognizes, but he plays a prank that gets him into serious trouble, and he can't play football anymore. So he's really struggling to find his place and figuring out what to do with his life. Zach is really cocky, and he's always looking for an adrenaline rush. But when he's at home, he's constantly taking care of his sick mother, who looks like she has some form of terminal cancer. Trini's constantly moving around, so she never really has a chance to make friends, and she's really antisocial because of it. And she has a secret that causes tension with her parents. Billy is easily the most interesting one out of the bunch. He recently lost his father, and he always gets picked on in school, and he's got a hard time making friends because of his condition. He has autism. I think that was incredibly brave of the filmmakers to give a Power Ranger such a misunderstood disability. It's difficult for some people with autism to understand sarcasm, and that does create some lighthearted, genuinely funny moments in the movie. Billy really becomes the heart and soul of the team that kind of brings them all together. He's just a perfect character for younger viewers that are new to Power Rangers to look up to as a hero. Kimberly was easily the least interesting though. She keeps talking about this dark secret, something bad she did that she doesn't want to talk about with the other Rangers. I mean, I thought the girl murdered someone. But when I found out what it was, I was just like, that's it? I mean, it's bad, but it's nothing even close to being some dark, shameful secret. It was just kind of a letdown. I only have a couple of small complaints about the movie. The villains were a little weak. Rita's motivations never went deeper than she betrayed Zordon and is now a bad guy that wants to rule everything. Not that Elizabeth Banks did a bad job in the role. She didn't do a bad job at all. She was creepy when she needed to be, and she felt dangerous. I just don't think she had very much to work with. It's a very different version of the character that's shown in the series. And so was Goldar. Goldar was my favorite villain in the show, and in the movie, he's just reduced to a monster that Rita creates, but it's just a mess of melting gold. He doesn't talk, he doesn't do much of anything except fight the Rangers at the end of the movie. The Putty Patrol were kind of cool too. Instead of these creepy dudes wearing masks and spandex, they're rock-like monsters created from concrete, so they have stop signs and all kinds of rubble sticking out of them. It's like they're fighting giant Geodudes. It was super cool. Not Geodude, more like whatever he evolves to, Golem, I think he was called, Golem. And the designs of the Zords didn't make much sense to me. I understand they're supposed to be more alien-like, but it's hard to even tell what they're based off of. The red one clearly looks like a T-Rex, but try finding a Mastodon in the Black Ranger Zord. It doesn't resemble a Mastodon in any way, shape, or form. And that awful Kanye trailer music is in the damn movie. I really wish they hadn't done that because it immediately took me out of the scene that they played it on. Aside from those nitpicks, the movie is a perfect blend of humor, superheroics, and character development. When I left that theater, I felt like I had just seen a Power Rangers movie if Marvel Studios had made it. That's the kind of feel the movie had. It was fun, mindless action at times, but underneath all of that, it was still a genuinely good movie. There is an after credit scene too, so make sure you stay for that. Well worth it. As of right now, we know they have 6 movies planned. I'm excited to see where the future of this franchise goes, because they sure as hell had a strong start. I think the only people that aren't going to enjoy this movie are the people that are still upset that it's so different from the original. And that's perfectly understandable because it is very different from the original. But I had a blast watching it, and I plan to watch it again before it leaves theaters. But please, if you're gonna go see this movie, please leave your young children at home. The theater I went to was packed, and there was also a ton of parents that brought their kids. I brought my son too, but he's 7 years old. He likes Power Rangers. He's old enough to know to sit there quietly and watch a movie. I'm talking about there were kids that were between 5 months old to 4 years old, crying throughout the movie, running around the theater. It was like a circus at some points in the movie. And there's actually some pretty scary imagery that they use in some scenes. And the movie's rated PG-13. This is not the 90s childish Power Rangers series. Please don't ruin it for other people. But this review concludes Power Rangers Weekend. Thanks for watching as always, guys. And if you watched the movie, leave me your thoughts down below and let me know what you thought of it. Remember to like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, and check out my social media links. This is Fabian. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.